All right, first video of the year. As I mentioned when I did my live stream a little while ago, this is going to be the first video in remaking my leather armor for jousting at the Renaissance Fair. The workshop's a little out of sorts. The big table that I like working on has been repurposed by the owner of the property. He's redoing the floors in his house and he's using it. So I've got a little table. This is 10 to 12 ounce Latigo. This is what I'm going to make my new armor out of. We're going to start easy. First thing is going to be belts. I'm probably going to be coughing a lot throughout this video because I have been sick. I'm still sick, but I have to get this done. So first things first with making belts. Got to put a straight edge. I haven't really worked with Latigo before. I usually do edge tan leather, but I want this. It's going to be getting a lot of heavy, hard use, probably even in the rain sometimes. So I figure the slightly heavier Latigo is going to help with durability. All right, now apparently this is not dyed all the way through, so I might have to dress the edges of that. I got a new strap cutter. And I am a big fan of it. Inch and a half right there. Extra mil. I'm a big fan of it. Well constructed. It has a guide to keep the leather flat as you're pulling. This is going to be my long. I'm making two belts. This is going to be my long one. Long skinny one. And by skinny, I mean more or less standard belt. It's going to be 1.5 inches. I'm cutting it a smidge heavy, a smidge wide, because I got a new beveler thing where I'm going to pull it through, and that should true it up to the true 1.5 inches. All right, that's the skinny one. Jeez, that does not look very long. So cutting this out, it didn't look very long. I'm wrapping it around because this is my skinny one, and I like that one to go around twice. This is how I carry my sword, and that's not long enough. And I only get wider when I've got leather and chainmail, and so I am going to go get my other Latigo hide and hope that it's longer. And if it isn't, I will figure that out later. So for some reason, I don't have audio on this clip, but it turns out that the other Latigo hide was the exact same length. So here I'm explaining that I just had to cut out a second one, and I'm going to butt the two ends together, and I'm going to stitch them, and that'll make the belt plenty long enough. Seems I was having a bad day with my microphone, because this clip doesn't have audio either. So basically, I am going to be cutting out the slightly wider belt. It's going to be 3 inches wide. You can see the pattern right there. And that's basically all there is to explain about that. All right, I have a 3-inch strip now. And so, if I recall correctly from just a few moments ago, I'm going to make this. All right, I'll make that. Right there. All right, that should be right this time. Cut it out. And see if I'm wrong. All right, hold on, let me. All right, I did it right this time. It's supposed to have a significant overlap because of the gun belt design. It tucks into itself, so we're good to go. That's that end. All right. Now we bevel. I'm going to come back with a skive and deal with that point. All right, that's the big one beveled. I'm going to break out my new fancy tool, work on skinny ones. All right, this is my new strap beveler. Bought it on Amazon. It bevels all 4 edges simultaneously, which is awesome. I usually nip one of the ends at a little bit of a taper. Now again, I cut these a little heavy, a little over 1.5 inches. The only thing that's a little annoying about this tool is it's measured in millimeters, not inches. So I cut this at 30 like 39 mil, which is a little over 1.5 inches. And now I'm going to bevel this. And I set the beveler at just under 38 mil, like 37. And then, boom, you just pull it. The whole thing's beveled. Gets a little tight. Oh, that's why. With the clamps can get in the way. That sort of makes life difficult. Boom. And then 4 perfectly smooth beveled edges. This thing is pretty great. There. All right, these 2 belts are practically the exact same length. So what I'm going to do, I need one to be the buckle, and I need one to be the tongue for the wide belt. So I'm going to cut one from here, and I'm going to cut one from here. And I'm going to use this template. Yeah, that'll be fine. I'll find my other template. No, actually, this will be... Yeah, this will be fine. I just want to... The last belt I made like this, the tongue kind of was annoyingly long, so I'm going to cut it here. Yeah, that should be fine. These are a little wonky, but when I actually punch the holes, I'll make sure they're centered. All right, so that's those taken care of now. Let's think about dealing with the butt joint for these. I'm probably going to nip this one here so that I avoid this little cracky spot. So that one's going to get nipped there. So I have a square somewhere, but I don't know where it is right now, and I don't feel like looking for it. So I'm going to improvise. All right. That's nice and clean. Looks good. All right, and that's the stitch holes. So those are going to get stitched together later because I don't have thread or needles with me. So that's going to be a later problem. Bit of a dreary day today. It's raining a little. It's going to be a pretty harsh transition to this shot because it's actually been a while since I worked on this belt because of reasons with doing the Ren Fair on the weekend and trying to make stuff, and the Tandy Leather near me has been closed for God knows how long, and who knows if they're going to reopen. It's being quite annoying. But here we are. I'm now at the point where I am going to slick the edges of this. So first, going to color them. And then, while it's still a little damp, give it a nice slick. Give you a zoom in on the next one. Bit of color. And then a slick. So you're supposed to slick with like water or some kind of like gum trage or whatever. But this is oil dye, so it doesn't dry too quickly. And since this belt is primarily going to be used for rolling around in sand and horse poop, I'm not too worried. Here it is. I'll do the rest of the side and the other belt. All right, that was the end of this long belt. So I think next I'm actually going to do the stitching on that to join these two pieces together, because if we recall from earlier, moments ago, as far as you guys are concerned, it's been weeks at this point for me, these belts individually are not long enough to do what I want them to do. So I'm going to have to butt them together. I'm going to do my best to keep this in frame. I don't normally do stitching on camera, but this one's going to be slightly different just because I want to make sure that this joint is secure. All right, so it's not going to be incredibly different. It's going to be basically the usual butt joint that I do. But slightly different basically in the end. How I'm going to be finishing it is what's going to be the real different thing. This plier is a bit comically oversized for this, but I want to get this over with. I don't feel like fighting with my needles. All right, so the way the butt joint works, can you see that? Yeah. It's hard to see black thread on black whatever. I'm trying to do a little better with the white stone. So I'm going to go across into the next one down. Same thing, across, next one down. Normally wouldn't be in this weird, awkward position, but since I'm trying to get it on camera for you guys. All right, and then pull it tight. And then the back. So the one that went in here is going to come out here in that same one right there. So you're going to make an X. And then the thread's going to come out in that same hole that just made the X on both sides. I have a stitching video where the visuals are a little bit better. And then I'm just going to do that all the way down. I wonder if a dab of glue in there wouldn't have been a bad idea. A little late for it now. We'll find out in a couple of weeks how well this works. As this belt's first real stress test is going to be Scarborough Fair in Texas, where I'll be jousting with the Hanley Lees Action Theater, as they are called. They are the original jousting troupe in North America. That's a lot of fun working for them. All right, this is the last stitch going down, and this is kind of where the change I was talking about is going to happen, because I want to make sure that this is a strong join. That's a lot of thread going through it right now. It's hard to see on the... All right, I can't figure out how to turn the light on. You're just going to have to trust me. But it's hard to see. That's a lot of thread going through there, but I want to make sure, so I'm actually going to double down on the thread, and this could be stupid. But I'd rather be stupid and waste my time than have this belt that I'm trying to make fall apart on me. So that's the end of that. And now basically I'm just going to kind of flip-flop what I'm doing. Now here on the front, I'm going to go straight across. And then on the back, I'm going to go across and up one. Because the way I end this stitch on all the things that I make where you need this butt joint, so like the curve of the bows of bands and the shoulders, I just backstitch like maybe 4 stitches. And I try to blend it in so you can't really tell. You definitely could if you really tried to look, but on this one, I'm just going to re-stitch all the way back up, because I just want this to be as strong as possible. Again, this could be completely unnecessary. I don't know. All right, that's the last stitch. I'm just going to pass it back through one last time. And that's that. Bit of a weird bulge, but on the 2 sides there. know how easy that is to see. Yeah, you can kind of see that it's bulged a bit, but again, sorry about the black on black, but it'll be fine. All right. Oh, wait, almost forgot a bit I wanted to do. So this is Latigo leather, so it's quite durable, quite resistant to the elements and whatnot. Readjust the camera so you can see what I'm doing. Oh, that was too much. But I want to give it just a little bit more. So I'm going to hit it with a little bit of this. This is leather balm with atom wax. Just to give it a little bit more resilience. Because again, this is going to be beaten up in the joust. Might also give it a little bit of a shine, who knows? I don't think I'm going to worry. I'm not going to worry about the inside. I'm a little concerned that this may bleed onto my costuming. But, I mean, if it does that, it's going to bleed onto the bit that's covered, that it covers anyway, so I think it's going to be fine. All right. I'll do the long belt in a second. This right here, I bought some Latigo strapping because I didn't feel like cutting it out. So I purchased some. It's 5/8 Latigo strap. All right, now back to the bit I was going to do before I remembered. So in this gun belt design, strap goes along here. It's almost like a keeper, but the other end of this tucks behind it, and so it kind of helps support itself. And so now, oh, do I want to bevel this whole thing? I'll bevel it as I make stuff. And then bam, bam. And those are a little off, so I'm just going to make sure they are centered. All right, now this next bit I have a history of doing wrong, but I'm going to make sure I don't do it wrong because I am going to be using these peening rivets and these things suck to have to undo. Rapid rivets, you can kind of just pop them out, but these are aluminum, so I'm actually going to do aluminum rivets on this armor because that way they're not going to tarnish or rust, and therefore be that much more resilient. Do I have a ball peen? Pause for hammer searching. All right, I ran home. I stole my wife's hammer. All right, so normally I like, you would want to hide the rivets so that everything looks like clean and nice, but this one is a little bit backwards. The rivets are going to be out here so that this loop can do its job. Ooh, man, these are almost too short. I think they'll be fine though. Can you see that? I'm going to do this first one and then I'll get a close-up of me doing other ones. Oh, no, it's going to be fine. But it does mean I don't have to trim them. I can just peen them. And I sometimes like to take this tool and just... It doesn't usually do anything, but it makes me feel good. All right, here comes rivet number 2. This one seems a little long. Let me trim this one. Next one's get a little difficult because I want the anvil under there. All right, this should be good. I finally managed to get the buckles that I've been intending on using, which are these. See, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make it really, it's supposed to really clean it up, make it shiny. Not sure how easy that is to tell. Now let's get a hole here. Let's put a rivet back here. Oh boy, this is gonna be tight. I should be able to make it. The leather will compress a little. Uh-oh. was wrong. The rivet was in a hole, the hardy hole in the anvil. Now the rivet's bent. Damn it. Almost there. The bigger punch for the actual holes. All right, that's the first belt. Second. That's the first belt done. I'm thrilled about that. It's taken a while to get here. Not necessarily through any fault of my own. It's just been trying to get things and do other stuff. Stuff is thick, doubling it over can be tough. I could skive it down, but I don't want to. All right. Might need to size that hole up a little. Hold on a moment. We'll go to 3/16. All right, so after putting it together for the first time, this is completely in the wrong spot. If it buckles there, then this isn't going to do the tuck in overlap thing it needs to do. So I need to move this whole thing this way. So now I get to go through the wonderful process of removing a peened rivet. So the one reason why this happened is because this belt pattern is supposed to use a specific belt buckle that you can purchase. Forget the name of it. But I didn't want to use that buckle. I wanted to use the one I'm using. This is not the right bit. This one's a little big, but it might work. Now, did that loosen this enough? Boy, good thing this leather's tough. All right, now I can get this out. All right, so this was the wrong goddamn one. I have to take the other one out. Oh, God. There it is. All right, so now I guess I'm just going to rivet them both back on because, again, if I don't take the moment to stop and think twice, I do stupid nonsense. This is the one we're concerned about. I want it to go here. All right, and thankfully that's going to cover my mistake, and no one, except all of you watching on YouTube, if anybody watches this, will have any idea that I'm an idiot. All right, one more rivet and then these belts are done. All right, and there they are. Those are my new jousting belts. I need to make a keeper for this one so that tongue stays down, and then I got to put the holes in this to size it, but I'm going to do those later because now I'm not in the mood because of the riveting thing. There they are. All right, the last bit I need to cut out the rough shape is going to be greaves. I got this pattern from a guy on Etsy called the LARP Peddler. I had been using a pair of greaves from the War Factory. I like them, but I'm going to try these. They're put together a little bit differently. And I think I'm going to like the look better, and I think it's going to work for what I'm doing a little bit better. So we're going to give it a shot. I haven't used this pattern yet, so it's still just in its raw form. So I'm going to have to put it together. I seem to be missing a page as well. I'm missing a page, like I'm missing a page. Oh wait, it's this one. All right, I have it then. There. All right, this one's pretty easy. It's gonna go like that. Just kind of judging from the spacing of the holes. I need tape. Crap, do I not have tape? I'm not sure where it came from, but I found this huge, obnoxious roll of tape. So I guess this is what I'm using. So I'm basically eyeballing this just based on how the lines are and how the spacing of the holes seems to be. And I think that's going to be good enough. If there was a more significant overlap on the back, I might tape that too, but that's probably good enough. This one might be a little weirder. Is this just supposed to butt together? Or is it supposed to? It's definitely not supposed to overlap. Is there supposed to be a gap? That'd be stupid. No, I think it might just butt right there. These lines are off. That's annoying. It's probably going to be good enough if I just... Is it supposed to be crooked? Where do you go? You down here? Yeah, you're down here. That looks about right. It's probably going to have to be close enough. So one of the hardest parts of doing this stuff is just trying to line up patterns well enough. Because there's always something funky with how they designed it and whatever. Usually a bright light helps, but I don't have a bright light. And now I gotta get... Actually, that's taped to the table, so now it seems weird that there should be a gap there. But that's oddly how it's lining up. Maybe it is supposed to be crooked. This is where it stitches to the centerpiece. So I feel like that line has to be the most important bit. I'm just kind of looking at how the holes and the spacing, that's probably it. So I guess that's that. Close enough. And then because of this gap, I am going to tape it from the other side. All right, that's my pattern. Cut it out now. Cutting the paper is hard with these little... Can you see this? These bits where it comes to like a sharp point, or like here, where that's like a really sharp point, the paper wants to like drag and tear. So you have to come at it from where the paper is going to support itself as you cut. And then when you can get your finger on it, yeah, see, it's tearing there. Switch back to the scissors for this part. All right. This one should be easier. This one was overall easier. It tore a little right there. You can see that, but that's easy. I can work around that. Break it into the second hide of latigo that I bought for this project. Try not to knock the camera over. All right. That's like these bits a little too whatever. So I'm going to start taking from here. Obviously, this isn't going to go to waste. This is going to turn into something else. I don't know what, but it will. Once again, I very much prefer having these paper patterns put onto some sort of cardstock or poster board, but I don't have any spray adhesive right now. So I'm just going to be a little extra careful tracing. That's the center bit. And then this bit has to get mirrored. This will be the one side, that'll be the other side. So I need 4 of that traced out. This bit up here is going to get stitched, and that helps make the curve for around your calf. This bit, the pattern says these are rivet holes. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to make these rivets or if I'm going to stitch the thing together. That's a later problem. These really narrow turns are hard to get with the big fat razor knife, so come back and do them later. All right. These are the greaves. So the pattern has these riveted down here, but I don't feel like riveting them. I'm going to stitch them together, and I think I'm going to stitch this on top of that. So that means I need to bevel both sides of the top and bottom and the top of this side, and then both sides of all of this. And I don't really need to worry about that side. This I'm not going to bevel because it's just getting butted together with stitching. So let's do that. All right, that's the center. And then this one, both sides of all of that. All right. And the same on the other set of these. So on the second set, I got distracted just because I did. And I beveled all sides of it, so I'm just going to go back through and just bevel all of this just so that they're all the same. It won't affect anything one way or the other. It's just an extra couple seconds of work that I didn't feel like doing, and now I'm doing it anyway. So all right, that's them edged, slicked. Next is stitching. To stitch. Is stitching next? Yeah, I'm going to stitch. I think I'm going to stitch. I don't know what I'm going to do first. I've got to think about it. I'm either going to stitch both of these first and then assemble the whole thing, or should I assemble the whole thing and then stitch this? I feel like it's going to be easier to stitch these while it's separate. So I might do these first and then stitch the whole thing. But first I got to punch the holes. So that's next, hole punching. And I just realized on these greave pieces, I did not mark where the rivet holes go. So I will do that very quickly. All right, that problem solved. The pattern had little like slots that you're supposed to punch here to like rivet the strap behind, and then like you pull the thing out. I don't do that. I just rivet it on the outside. I've never made these before, but I have other patterns where they do a similar thing. And I just choose not to do that. I don't. It's a bit. I consider it a style choice more than anything of any sort of function. So I'm going to do all my stitching at once, but I'm going to stitch this first and then join the whole thing together. Because this is going to be a lot easier to stitch when this is an individual piece and not a whole ass greave. It's not an ass greave, it's a greave. I should mark where that ends. Just give it a quick. That's where the stitching is going to end. So this bit up here is going to be, it's going to get, butted together like that with like the crisscross stitch that I do. But then the actual assembly is just going to be a saddle stitch. I might put a mark here as well. Then that's going to be where the stitching starts and then goes to. I think that's going to make more sense. I think that's going to be, that's a pretty good idea. Also, thinking about it, this is a much more significant gap. It goes to the side of there instead of the center of that. I don't think that's going to be an issue. That'll be fine. All right, we're going to use these guys. These curves are gentle enough. I don't think it's going to be a big issue to use the long one. All right, that is the greaves ready for stitching. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna watch probably Critical Role and stitch all those in my bed. It's very cold in Florida right now. It's like the high today is like maybe mid 50s. Might make it to 60. Yesterday it was 40. You don't care. You're just here for leather work. That's them stitched together, both of them. It went pretty easy overall. Behaved itself. I wrapped them around my legs earlier. They've got a pretty good shape. I like them. So now straps, and then they're done. Need 6 straps total. Ow. I gotta find 6 buckles. Normally, I might make these a lot longer, but because this closes so tightly, I don't think I need them to be that long. Do that 5 more times. Just got to make sure that on these I do them the opposite of each other. So we've got a right leg and a left leg. I bought another pack of aluminum rivets, but I must have chosen the wrong one because these are fatter than the ones I was just using. Which is fine. Just means that they're going to be that much stronger. So, no big deal. It's a little sloppy, but it ain't going to go anywhere. That's for sure. So that's them done. Really like the shape. I think they're going to work out really good. Eventually I'll get metal plates put on them, but they're probably going to go in show just like this at this point. All right, on to the next piece. All right, next bit for my armor rebuild. Clean up my leg bits. And we're back. It's going to be my arms. Left arm is going to be a Bowser band. Right arm is going to be a bracer and elbow cop. So here we go. All right, in keeping with the theme of most of the other parts These patterns are Dark Horse Workshop. My original jousting armor, the Bazoo band, was a different pattern. Is this still in frame? It was a pattern by another pattern maker on Etsy. But this Bazoo band is bigger and chunkier. And since that's kind of the look I'm going for, with one side being big and chunky and the other side being the more articulated and mobile, I've decided to use this again. I've decided to use Dark Horse again, rather. I still love the War Factory pattern of Bazoo band, and I'm going to keep wearing them, just not as a part of this particular kit. Going to mark several of these because I want to get a metal plate to go on here. Now, whether that will happen, I'm not sure, but I'm going to mark it out. And this is the bracer, also Dark Horse, and also marking for a metal plate. And we're good. I don't know what this is, but I hope I can get it off. It's sticky. I don't know what that is. What's that one? All right. The last bit of the jousting armor is going to be elbow cop for my right arm. I don't know where that pattern is. I'm gonna find the pattern and then you'll see me cut it out. I got a piece of the scrap latigo. All right, I found it. And I'm going to cut it out and then put it on some poster board so that it will maintain It's just easier to trace patterns if they have a little bit of stiffness. This bit I am going to give to my wife, and she is going to cut this out in metal. Look for her videos on that. The Alchemy Valkyrie. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to put them on the armor. Hopefully either just before we leave for Texas or just after we get to Texas. So spray adhesive. And then give that a couple of minutes to dry. And then I'll cut it out probably with a razor knife. We'll see. All right, that's probably enough. And just cut it down a smidge. That'll be a little more manageable for the knife. And then I already cut this one, so a little extra careful. Should be fine though. I gotta get both. I think I'll get both out of this. Yeah, especially if I stick it up here. Now, normally I don't mark the individual stitching holes on a piece like this, but this particular piece, I'm going to do that because when I go to stitch this together, instead of doing the normal thing where I just butt these together and throw a stitch through them, this piece is actually supposed to cup around the elbow cop, and it holds these two pieces together. So I'm going to actually do that because this is going to be my elbow on my right side. I'm going to be like, landing and rolling a lot. This one I do want to get a little extra protection on. It's the way I made it before. It's held up really well. I'm just going to go ahead and do it the same way. Now, I did not put this one on poster board. And the reason I didn't do that is because I forgot to. All right, now beveling. This guy's only going to get beveled on the top because the back side is going to be laid flat against the other things. So I don't usually bevel the ends after I use the end punch, but I felt like it this time. Now these I'm only going to bevel around this. This doesn't really need to be beveled because it's going to be hidden. And then this is going to be against like chainmail or something, so it's not really going to be uncomfy for me in any way. All right. Elbow cops are good. Ready to get, ready to do the edges. Like color them. I just did the edging, and now color them. All right, next step with the arms is going to be the edges, but also this one has whatever this sticky stuff is. So I've got some rubbing alcohol and a rag. I'm going to hope that this works. Yeah, that's working. Good. That'll come off in a few moments. Perfect. All right, you can't see it anymore. Now you can't feel it either. Perfect. Good. I was worried that was going to fight me. But now, a little bit of color on the edge, because I don't like the way that looks, being that kind of off black, weird gray brown inside a leather color. Just along the edge. And then while it's still just a smidge damp, we take the slicker and we slick. There she is, nice and slick along the edge. Same thing to the bezel band and the other bit, elbow cop. Same thing. I just finished the elbows. This inside edge I'm not worrying about because it is getting stitched under this piece. So nobody's ever going to see that. So it don't need to worry about it. All right, punch some holes in those next.
So once again, I did not pay attention to if my microphone was on or not. So in this, I'm scribing lines for stitching the Baozu band. It will be a butted joint to then create the curve of the Baozu band. And then in this one, I am going to be punching for the elbow cop. This one isn't going to be the same kind of butted joint. The two halves do get butted together right along that edge, but it's underneath that center strip. So it's actually just going to be a saddle stitch, which then creates the butted joint. But I took both of these, I stitched them up at home, off camera, and then the next thing happened.
All right, so it is now weeks and weeks later after that last clip. I am in Texas now at the Scarborough Fair. I had wanted this armor to be done before I got to Scarborough Fair, but here it is. We traveled, we rehearsed the show, we installed the show. I got injured. I hurt my shoulder. I'm fine now. It's been raining most of the time we've been here. So it's been weeks, 2 months almost. But now I'm going to finish the arms of this armor and then we'll move on with our life. All right, so I noticed as I was bringing these out here, I didn't mark these holes. Now, the way this template is, it's got this like yoke of for doing this strap. I think that's it. So it's supposed to go like that, and then this would be the buckle. I guess it would be going this way, but I'm not going to do that. I am just going to mark a single hole on both sides and then just have it just be a single strap going across the elbow. All right, so now that's that. I should have punched all of these holes before I did the stitching. Now it's going to be annoying to punch that hole, but it doesn't matter. So basically, I'm just making straps. I need 2 straps, 3 straps, 4, 5 straps. These rivets are a little overkill for the buckles, but I want all the armor to be consistent, so doing all the same rivets. There's a rivet. 4 more times. Buckles are all done. Now we just need holes punched. Bring the anvil back. That's the bracer. Buzzer band next. All right, and then the one on the inside here is going to be a little different because it's going to go inside. So it'll go, yeah, it'll go the same way, but this will go on the inside of there. All right, so that's the buckles installed. I just go through, do the same thing with the straps, and then the arms are done. So I was wrong. I actually didn't cut out enough straps for the elbow cop as well. So now the elbow cop is done, and now all the arms are done. All right, there they are. Left arm, bazoo band, right arm, bracer, and elbow cop. All done. All right, I am re-recording the intro to this video because I filmed most of it without having my microphone on because I'm dumb, I guess. So this is going to be shoulders for my jousting armor. They're already cut out over there, but now we're going to switch back to the footage of me getting to this point, and then we'll pick it back up.
So this pattern that I'm using, both shoulders are different from each other. I've got a larger one and then a slightly smaller, more articulated one. This is the larger pattern. I'm explaining about that and how they're going to be stitched together along this long curved edge. So here I'm tracing them out, and on one of them I think it's the second one that I'm cutting out, I need to mark holes for a piece called the halt. I explain that a little bit later when the audio comes back. It's this piece, and I explain how the way it's marked on here, the halt goes along the edge where the awl is right now. But when I made my first one of this shoulder, when I tried to raise my arm to do the jousting, it was stabbing me in the neck. So the two outside ones remain where they are, but I actually flip the pattern around and mark the holes so that the piece curves the other direction. And this is me figuring out how to line up those two holes with an awl and one of my other tools. And as soon as I get it figured out, you'll see me mark the holes. There it goes. And those holes are marked. And then the next couple clips is a little more of me cutting it out, tracing the other shoulder. As I explained in all of my videos, I tend to try nice long cuts. Don't try to go through, especially this thick stuff, don't try to go through all the way at once. And then this is the smaller shoulder where I'm going to have 4 lames, and then that bit with the wedge cut out of it is the actual shoulder cop, whatever you want to call it. And the next clip is just me lining those up, trying to get the most out of the leather. The wedge part of this pattern is where stitching is going to be, those edges stitched together to make the curve to go around the shoulder joint. Very similar to the Bowser band in my leather arms video. There it is, cut out. And then here it's just tracing out the various lames. I've got a straight edge up there from cutting out my belts, so I use the straight edge on the straight edge. Makes life easy. Try to get the most out of the hide as possible.
Okay, so again, going with the idea that I want my left side to be bulkier than my right side, I am going to be kind of manufacturing a new lame for this purpose by just kind of taking these two and instead of, because they should be overlapped, something like this, but I'm just going to extend them a little. And now, instead of multiple lames. I'm going to have one really big one. Should mark these holes. Shit. It'll be fine. All right, now cut this out. All right, and that's going to be my big lame, I guess. Some might even say it's very lame. Ha. All right, and then this is going to be just this one lame on that side. Once I have it on, I'll see if I want to make another big lame like this. I'll just shrink that somehow. All right, these are the big shoulders. So this whole edge gets stitched. So I'm not going to bevel it. Just going to bevel the outside. Eventually, I plan on having metal plates on this, but I don't know when that's going to happen. That's on my wife. She has to do that. She's the metal worker. She might do videos about them. I'm trying to get her to produce stuff for YouTube. So if she does, I'll have it linked in the description. The Alchemy Valkyrie. Same with the small shoulder. This gets stitched, so just the outside gets beveled. I'll try to skive some of these hairy bits. I say hairy, it's not hair. This is the flesh side, this is the inside of the cow. But I just kind of want to trim them up. At least the parts that are going to hang over the edge and look weird. Yeah, it's good enough. That was easy. This is the half for the big shoulder. This inside edge just gets stitched, so I'm not going to worry about it so much. I'm just going to do the outside edge. All right, that's the shoulders. The edge is done. Now it's going to be hole punching. 1/8" holes for rivets, and then all of this is going to get stitching holes. So I am attempting to get this bit made out of aluminum by my wife, the Alchemy Valkyrie. But until she gets around to it, I'm going to do it out of leather. The main reason I want it done out of the metal is my old one. This piece got very floppy. This goes on the big shoulder that'll be on my left arm. This bit of shoulder armor is called a halt. It's supposed to stop things from hitting you from the side. So for now, I will have another leather one. This one is thicker leather and stiffer than the veg tan I made it out of previously. So I think it'll be fine until I get the metal one made. I'm going to use a punch to round those ends because I'm lazy and I feel like doing it that way. There, now a little bit of dye on the end of that, and I'll slick it, and then I have to figure out which direction I have to, because this goes on the shoulder, and then these have to bend effectively 90 degrees, but which direction I want to make sure of. I'm pretty sure it'll bend this way, but because this is so thick, I think I'm going to try to groove each of these and then bend them so they'll have a better bend because there will be less material there. So let's do that. All right, so this tool is a V groove. You can see that cutter there cuts a V. You adjust it with this little screw bit over here until it's the depth you want, which in this case is just about half the thickness of the leather. And then this one might be easier. Actually, here, let's try this. That's it. That'll do it. Come on. There it is. And then you cut the groove to the depth you want.
Now that is going to bend much more nicely and neatly. All right, so all of those are grooved. It looks a little sloppy, but that's all right, because this is going to be on the back side. Most people aren't going to see that. Holes for rivets. All right, and then we're just about ready to put that up. While I was marking these, that's not my all, I forgot to put where the holes for the lames go. So we're going back and we're doing that now. Good. Because I already stitched this, these are going to be awkward to hole punch out, but we'll manage. Pull it over to the corner here. That should do. There. Managed. Now where is that big lame I made for this shoulder? Do I want to do that first, or do I want to do the halt? Like, it's going to be less awkward to do the halt first. All right, so I'm going to get the halt. I've only done this once before. So it goes like this. So it'll go like this. So I'm not completely certain on the best order of operations. I guess I'll just start on the end. Where did I put the things? The previous version I made of this, I made a significant amount of time ago. So I don't remember quite how I did this. And I've been using this. And then clean that up, make that shiny. All right, on to the next one. See if I can get a better angle. Hold on. I might see a little less of my hands and a little more of what I'm actually doing. now it's going to start folding up as we get this next one in there. Might wait to peen this one. See if I can get the whole thing straightened out. There. Now, this one down. All right. That's the halt put on. Now I just need to do the lame on the other side. So these are the templates for the straps that attach the lames to the pauldrons. And now normally I would do all three of these holes because normally I'd have multiple pauldrons. But because on this one I'm trying just the single big pauldron, I'm kind of improvising. And the slightly longer one goes in the center. The slightly shorter ones go on the sides. So now we find this thing, which already has the holes punched in it, conveniently. I don't feel like moving the camera, so I will move the anvil. And on the templates, I have a little mark as to where the top is and where the bottom is. But since there's only 2 holes, it doesn't really matter. Oops, that was wrong. It will probably be fine. So what I accidentally did on this tool for setting the rivets and burrs, there's like an actual hole and then just a domed bit. You're supposed to put the hole on it first to drive the burr down. But I did the wrong thing. But it should be fine. And as far as it being like ugly, this bit's going to be up under the inside of the shoulder. So Actually, no, it's not. Because in my rush to do this, I'm actually doing it wrong. These should be on the inside. Do I want to go through the trouble of removing that? How will that look? Actually, it's pretty much going to be covered anyway. All right, is what it is. I guess this is how I'm doing these shoulders. All right, the actual correct bit this time. All right, and now I try to get it up into there. These are a bit thicker than the rivets I normally use. So getting them through the holes can be a tad awkward. All right. It looks like it's going to stick out just a little bit, but that's fine. Someday I may go back and fix that, but for today I'm okay with it. All right, that's that. You can't see it. There, that's that shoulder just about done. I need to put a strap on it to go around my arm. Let's see, let's go ahead and do that now. Goes on like this, so this end. This one I'm going to do correctly because I'm paying attention to that now. So this will go, and then this. So it's like this. There we are. Now, this one, how long do I want to make it? So it needs to go all the way around my arm. My arm is going to have chainmail on it. Oh, wait, no. Actually, it might just have to be this entire length. I'm just going to make it this entire length. It's going to be a lot easier than trying to figure out if it's long enough or not. I'd rather it be too long, and I can shorten it. All right. That is my left shoulder finished. Now, go through and do the right shoulder. All right. Once again, in Texas now, because reasons. Check out I think it's my arms video as to why I am all of a sudden in Texas. I explain it there.
All right, this is the second shoulder. I put together the bigger one already, and then this is the smaller, more articulated with more lames. And now I've got to make the center and side straps. So I need one center, two sides. And I have one, two, three, four. So I need to add 2 holes. So I'm going to just slide this down and extend it. You can see that, right? Yeah, so I'm going to mark this. And then that's 2 holes, 3 holes, 4 holes. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Center. All right. Punch those out over here. And now just start riveting them. I could cut out the buckle too. I'll cut out the buckle real quick. All right, aluminum rivets. Almost starting to run low. All right. Next one up. So on and so forth. All right. That's all of, that was the frame. There it is. All right, that's all of them. I'll put the buckle on now and then get it attached to the shoulder bit. All right. Because this is curved, it's going to get a little awkward. But luckily I've got this anvil and this horn, or end of it, whatever you want to call it, helps a great deal. Just going to do this one at a time. There it is. There's that one. Now, God damn it. So now the next bit is up here. I need to punch some holes and install eyelets for arming points because I'm going to be attaching these to the chest with arming points. My previous version had straps that ran off of here to a buckle on the chest plate, but I don't want to do that because this is easier. And also, by putting the arming points on the chest, I'll be able to run my steel shoulders on it as well. So I'm going to go grab the other shoulder and my steel shoulders and then mark for some holes. All right, so these are my steel shoulders. They are very rusty. I need to clean them. I haven't touched these in 6 months, 8 months. And so up here, they've got arming points. And so I am going to just line my shoulders up on here and just use those holes to mark them. My steel set is also asymmetrical. This is cut out theoretically for couching your lance underneath it. And then the left shoulder is fully enclosed. So I need to replace the straps. They're not great. And it's mostly the buckles. The buckles are terrible. I need to replace those. Oh, this one's going to be tough. Oh man, I should have done this before putting that halt on. I can just do it like this. There we go, and then it'll just be marked from underneath. Yeah, I can see those. All right, steel shoulders are going back away. And I'm going to put a 3/16 hole right there. And then that's going to get eyelets. This one I had to mark this way. There they are. And do the other one real quick. All right, there they are. Those are my shoulders. I just go strap them onto the chest piece, and that whole system will be good to go. All right. Next bit of remaking my jousting armor, if I can find it, it's going to be my legs. All right. Just like this. All right. That is what they're going to look like. I'm going to, this top bit, I've got to trim it down by an inch. I'm not going to change the pattern though, because I want to keep the pattern the way it should be. This is Dark Horse again. Again, I like his stuff. This is again, I wish I had this on cardboard. I need to go through and update and clean up all the patterns I have. It's not really a problem per se, it's just you have to be really careful, because like as you're going, the paper will crumple and move, so your lines aren't always quite as good as they could be. And then I want to say I use this inner, or do I use the outer? I think I use the outer. He had a different way. He uses like ties, like paracord ties through. But I am just going to use rivets. And then to reverse it for the other leg. Do the lame over here. Don't need to reverse the lames because they're symmetrical. All right. I'm going to cut these out and then do the knee cop. Glad I checked. I almost did this whole bit without the camera running. So on and so forth. All right, time for the knee cop. Put it right there. Wonder if I can fit the other one below it. We'll find out, won't we? Now, the last time I made this, this is the outside of the leg. This is the inside of the knee. I cut this off. I just kind of like continued this line and just made it like look neat. I'm gonna try it with this because I think moving the rivets out, and then I might even put just like a strap to like hold it down, because it pissed me off because they were constantly just hitting each other in between, and plus, since I'll be wearing this on horseback, this will be up against the saddle. We're gonna see. I'm gonna try it. Odds are it's gonna get cut off eventually. And then, is this gonna work? I don't like running into that. I'm gonna have to put it over here. All right, it's going over there. All right, leg beveling. Outside curves are always a bit of a danger, might be overstating it, but it's real easy to pop off and gouge a finger. I have done that far too many times. You can do it on straightaways too, but the outside curves are the worst. It's breezy today, kind of chilly. It rained last night. There we go. And then this seam gets butted together, so I don't worry about beveling that. I forgot to mark it when I was doing the templates, but I think I'm going to put a strap on the kneecap as well to hold it closed. So my other one, this is a little bit stiffer leather. And then bits are going to have metal plates on it like here, but it'll just help hold it around my knee. It'll just help hold it around the knee a little bit better. And then maybe this inside won't piss me off so much. And that's the legs beveled. Grand. All right, got all the leg bits beveled. Haven't punched any holes yet. No stitching holes, no rivet holes. But we're going to get there. So next, I want to clean these edges. All right. Apparently my microphone died at some point in that last clip. But that's it, slicked. Now, hole punches, stitching punches and stitching, and then assembly, I guess. Yeah, stitch that and then rivet the whole thing together. All right, picking back up with the legs of my jousting armor in Texas. I've explained why I'm in Texas in previous videos, so go check those out. The thing I need to kind of modify from the pattern the thing I kind of need to modify from the pattern is where all of these rivet together, because the original pattern from Dark Horse Workshop, he's got the rivet points here and here, and there's two of them next to each other, and then the corresponding two here, because he just ties his together with some paracord or a bit of leather lace. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But I'm not doing that. I'm riveting them. So these up in the corner, that's okay because it's going to go to this. But then the bottom ones, the ones on the straight side that attach to the kneecap, I need to move them out to the corner, which means these need to move out further because they're right there lined up.
So I need to put it out here. So I think what I'll do to do that, I will punch the holes in the lames and then adjust the holes on the cop itself. Right, so I don't need this one because this doesn't get riveted to anything, so I just need the one up here. And I'm really just going to kind of pull it all the way out to the corner. And then on here, I kind of line those up. Right. So those will get riveted together. But I also am going to make buckles for this because the thing that annoyed me on the first set of these legs, because this is leather, so Dark Horse, he has an additional panel on here, and eventually I'm going to get some aluminum on these. I don't know when, but eventually, which will clearly stiffen them up. But he also wax hardens all of his stuff. So these on my first pair got very floppy and were just kind of flopping around. And then this one on the inside of the leg just annoyed the hell out of me. So I just wound up cutting it off completely. But I'm actually going to put 2 straps here on either side of the knee. And then that's going to tighten them down around my leg and not be so floppy and annoying. So I'm going to cut the buckles and straps for that. And then I'm going to come back and rivet it all together. Okay, as I was gathering things together, I kind of realized I need a buckle down here to wrap around the lower part of my leg, and then I strap that strap, I loop through the strap of my greave to kind of keep them together. So instead of doing 2 straps up here going around my knee, I'm going to do 1 strap behind my knee, and then there will be one on the upper part of the crease up here to wrap it around the top part of my leg. So small modification, but no big deal. All right, it's assembled. Straps are on. Final thing is, much like my shoulders, I have decided to switch to using arming points for my legs. So normally they would get, I've put a buckle here, a buckle here, and then a strap coming off of my belt. But instead, I am going to right there, 2 eyelets, and then that's going to be my arming points. All right. And with that, my jousting armor is finally done. Tomorrow is the final weekend of the Scarborough Fair. I wanted these done for the first weekend, but oh well, such is life. But they're done now. I'll have a full picture of me wearing the whole kit on my Instagram. Stay tuned for more stuff.
All right. Unless I'm forgetting something, the last bit to do is going to be the chest piece. So got this hide. And we're good to go. Oh, the last remnants of being sick are still in me. It's very annoying. All right, so I've been debating whether or not I want to do it's the way that I have. This is a pattern for a piece of armor from an old job. I'm debating on if I want to do all of it, like the whole chest all the way down, because my old version, it just had this top lame. Maybe I'll start cutting it out and then see how much of this I have left. Because I'm definitely going to get this, and all of these mirror. So this will flip over, and this is the actual like shoulder bit. I call it a gorget, but it's not really. Somewhere between just the top part of the chest and a gorget. So I'm definitely going to get these two pieces. And then I'm going to see if I have room for the third and fourth piece. We'll see what happens. All right, so like I said, this piece mirrors. So I'm going to just kind of make sure I'm not going to hit anything too weird. All right, that's probably fine. And then I'll flip it over. That's just dirt. All right, so I think I'm going to do that. And just line up these points. All right, that looks good. I only need one of this piece. Every other piece I need two, one for the front, one for the back. Always double and triple check. Because I've more than once I've been lining things up and I go and flip it over and it does this. So just really careful. All right, that should be fine. Oh man, it's going to be just not big enough to get another one under it. It's a little annoying, but these are odd shapes, big odd shapes. That's one thing I kind of don't like about this particular armor pattern. It a smidge wasteful, like this whole big area. It's big enough that I can cut other stuff out of it, smaller pieces, panels and whatnot, but the odd shapes are always a little wasteful. Right, this one will fit under here almost definitely. Ooh, maybe it won't. That'll be annoying. Yep, see, this is exactly what I was talking about. Got to double and triple check all of this all the time. Because, all right, well, that failed. I'll cut it out somewhere else. All right, actually, thinking about it, if I line up the bottom here, kick it over just a little, and then put this edge and that edge right there, it's going to be a little flared out, but I don't think that's going to be a big deal. That's not going to affect the form or function of this terribly much. All right. So that one, all right, I saved it. A little bit of a flare out there. I might cut this out and then use it as the template so the back one matches. We'll see. I managed to sneak this one in right here. It's going to have this little bit, which is kind of funky. I don't know what this is, a brand or just a scar. I don't know. But this bit is going to be well covered by the lame above it, so I'm not too broken up about it. I decided to just eyeball this one. Can you even see that? Couldn't even see that in frame. I decided to just eyeball this one to be about that same gap as there, so everything should be fine. All right, that's all the bits marked. Let's cut you out. How much do I need to go over again? Got a new, it's not a new blade, but it's the other half of the blade, so it's nice and sharp. So most of this just got taken care of in a single pass, which is awesome. I always have to be careful. I always get just a little bit impatient sometimes. And that's when accidents happen. I've said this before, a sharp knife is a safe knife, but also if you just pull a little too hard, you just gouge into the piece you're trying to cut out. Oh, I want to flip the table when that happens. Oh boy, everything's going bad. All right, it's a little more manageable now. All right, all the chest bits are cut out. Now just a little bit of nipping off corners. And then one of them I got to clean up this top bit entirely. And then they'll be ready for a bevel. All right, that's everything cleaned up. Now to the bevel. All right, so on and so forth with the whole pile. Okay, now all of these bits are cut out and beveled. Now to do the edge, I'm going to give them some color. It's just going to be black. And then give them a slick to make them look a little nicer, be a little smoother. It's hard to see on the camera, but this is very rough from the cutting and beveling. And then running a slicker over it just smooths it out, makes it look a little prettier. And then you're supposed to do this damp, so just the moisture from the dye seems to be doing just fine. And then it's nice and smooth. And that's the whole thing. Now to do that whole pile. That's going to take a minute. These are templates for assembling the chest piece together, for which I will be using same Latigo strapping that I used for the other things. And then I'm also going to do, this is like the kind of upper chest piece. I tend to call it the gorget. It's not really a gorget, but I'm also going to do eyelets here to tie it up in the back, and then technically it'll be adjustable, even though it's only ever going on me. I don't need to adjust it. And then up here, my previous armor, the way I attached the shoulders was I put buckles on here and then straps on the shoulders and buckle them on. But this time I'm actually going to change it up, and I'm going to do arming points. So I'm going to put holes in here to take a lace and then tie the shoulder on, because then the steel armor I have, the shoulders attach with arming points. So I'll be able to use this leather chest piece for my leather shoulders and my steel shoulders. So I'm going to need, this is the center, this is the center, because this will go here, and then one, and then it'll attach there, there, it'll attach there, 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 and there. All right, it'll attach like that. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. So that's how that's going to attach together. And then the shorter one will go there, there, and there. All right, cool. So I need one of this, two of that. I think I normally do this out of 3/4 inch strapping, but I think the 5/8 will be fine. All right, and then I'm also going to have to figure out the back, because the back's going to be a little bit different because of that being separated. We'll do the front for now. And then rivets. I need rivets. Did I stick them in here? course not. Why would I? I'll go find rivets. All right, now first I'm just going to kind of dry fit these together. Oh wait, was that right? No. That's one of the reasons I wanted to dry fit it, to make sure everything goes together in the right order. All right, yeah, that looks good to me. This is sticking out a little bit, could be a slightly cleaner line, but it's not too big a deal. All right, and then just kind of confirm where all of these are going to go. Which was the other reason for doing the dry fit. There it is. That's the front chest piece. And then the gauge bit go up here. That's supposed to be what these holes are for. Like that. Is that correct? Yeah, I think it's safe to put those. In previous versions of this, I've just riveted these directly onto this, but overall, I think I like the movement and such better when they're hung from the straps like that. And then this last one right there. Yep, there it is. So you'll see this rivet and that one. I don't really care. Be a little bit cleaner if this one was hidden, but that's fine. No big deal. The whole thing could have moved up maybe half an inch, but oh well. I'm not going to do the arming points yet because I want to put my steel shoulder on here, mark those holes, and then copy those holes onto my new leather shoulders. I could punch these right now while this is independent. I'm going to do that. I'm going to punch these eyelets, save these for later, and then peen all of these, and then figure out the back.
Usually when I'm doing eyelets, I do, most of the time I'll do 5 because it's perfectly easy enough to just go halfway in between those. And then again, split those in half. And then split those in half. Could be really precise and like measure them out, but the human eye is accurate enough for these purposes. I don't go too crazy with the eyelets, setting them, because even with this little anvil, it's got a little like recess, concavity, whatever you want to call it, that they sit in. But even and that supports them and keeps them looking nice. If you just did it on the flat surface of like the stone or anvil, it would flatten them, and then they wouldn't look as nice. They'd still function, but they would just be aesthetically unpleasing. But I try to be gentle even on the anvil, because you can distort them. And really, as long as they get that little bit of flair, they'll hold fine. These eyelets are going to be the only part of this armor that I'm going to have a worry of them rusting, because these are not aluminum. But the one I've been using has these eyelets in it, and they're fine because they are steel, I'm pretty sure, but I think they're nickel plated for rust resistance. That's the eyelets done. Now it's going to be a whole lot of rivets. A whole lot of rivet setting. So it's not too proud, but I just don't want it to interfere too much. All right, the whole front riveted together. So a little annoyed that this is exposed, but that's not a big deal. I'm going to have more rivets on, like, probably either here or here, and then probably another one down here to, like, strap it to myself, chest straps. So now back here, got to figure this out. It'll be a little more complicated because of the eyelets. But I think what I'm going to do is just take a little thread, if I can find the end of it. There it is. And just kind of
tie them together for the moment. This is likely no easier than just lacing it up, but that's what I feel like doing. All right. And then it's this one at the bottom, then the long one, and then the top one. So this one's going to be a little bit different also in that I can't attach this to here. So instead, it'll just have the strap. It'll just have. Wait, is it just these two connections? That doesn't make any sense. This one will connect these two. This one will connect these two. Yeah, so I guess it's just these two connections. So I'll just have these two connections in the middle. They'll have the ones along the sides. And then this may or may not stick out weird from the back, so I might have to do just like a small one to attach like here. We'll see how that works out in a minute. So basically, I'm going to do the whole process again. Punch holes, drive rivets. All right, so I have assembled the back. Came together nice, but see how it wants to flap out like that? That's going to look stupid if I wear that. So I'm going to have to do a little strap right here on both sides, and then the back will be done. And there it is. There's two little straps. Two little straps right there. Now it's going to sit nicely. So I took my steel shoulders and I kind of measured them on here, made marks. They're really close to where these are. It almost would have been a good idea to just make these the arming points, maybe. I don't know whether that's a good idea or not, I don't know. But if I made it again and I knew how close it was going to be, I might just make those the arming points. But I'm just going to cheat these that way just a little so I know I'm not hitting the strap. Oops, I hit the camera. Same thing on this side, cheat them just up a little bit. And then put the eyelets in.
What is the timeline for editing for the thing look like? Just kind of whenever.
Just like kind of when I get to it. I mean, probably not before we're already in Colorado. Yeah, because
Talking to people, family, and stuff about it. Like, when is it coming out?
I'm gonna, much like the other ones I've done, I'm gonna release the rehearsal footage. All of my fight videos have been going up on the first of the month, and then if it's a rehearsal for a produced thing, the produced one comes out 2 weeks later. So first of the month rehearsal, middle of the month the final edit. So that's the front. That's where the buckles are going to be going. There. So on and so forth. That's the 4 buckles done. I'm going to cut the straps, but of course, nothing about this can be easy. I have run out of rivets. So I have 3, and the minimum I could possibly need to finish this would be 4. So that's annoying. So I'll probably finish this up tomorrow. All right. Time to finish up the chest. I got the buckles on, but then I ran out of rivets, and now straps are cut. I'm going to put them on the back. Kind of just going to eyeball this. Where's my ball? Four more straps, chest is done. Right, there it is. Chest plate is done. I'll get some paracord for the eyelets in the back to hold it closed instead of just some crappy thread tying it together. But that's that.